Hey, it's Danny from the Highway 62 podcast, and today's guest I was inspired to reach out to because of a series of Instagram posts talking about the Lamb Boy of Amboy. That's coming up on this episode of the Highway 62 podcast. Stick around, it's a good one. All right, Paul Razo, thank you so much for joining me here on the Highway 62 podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Right on. So you're a business owner. You're involved in a couple different businesses. You're also kind of involved in some of the nonprofit things going on around town out here in 29 Palms. And we're going to get into all of that, including the crazy social media posts that originally got me interested in wanting to reach out and kind of think, who the heck is this guy and what is he doing with this? And we'll get into that. But first, just give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so IE native. I grew up my whole life in San Bernardino, Riverside counties. Did a little stint in LA. I went to school for graphic and web design. And then I got into user experience design eventually and worked with some ed tech stuff. Came out here in 2018 is when we got our house. Did full time in 2020 is when we came out. And man, it's just been hitting the gas pedal ever since.
When you first moved out in 2018, did you guys just buy a place out here as like a, some weekend getaway experiment or?
Yeah, pretty much. So we had gone to Death Valley actually, just like going stargazing. And we just loved it so much. We're like, what's a desert that's closer to us? And for some reason, my partner and I, we had never been out here. But as soon as we came out, we were like, oh, wow, this is a special place. And houses are cheap. So let's jump on it.
Right on. So you're involved out here in 29 Palms in a couple of different charities. The director of the Friends of the Historic Plaza. Tell us a little bit about that. I have to be honest, that's one, the Historic Plaza is one that I kind of slept on a little bit. And, I was just looking on the website and stuff, and there's just these amazing, cool old pictures up there. Tell us a little bit of history about Historic Plaza and what you guys are doing now.
Yeah, definitely. So my partner and I, we opened, it's her business, Mojave Moon Apothecary, and we opened our storefront over there coming up on 2 years ago now. And we just love the area. It has a special energy about it. There's lots of natural shade down there. And so we opened up the shop, and then not too long after that, we ran into our friend Son of the Desert at the bar, and we're like, hey guys, we just opened this storefront. There's a space next to us, like let's come join us, let's make something special down here. And that's really how it started. And then we wanted to bring more attention to the area because we had so many people that would come in and be like, oh man, this used to be the center of 29 Palms, like this used to happen at this plaza, this used to happen at this plaza. Like it had a whole other life before it was built, and downtown sort of filled out more. And so we're like, well, yeah, let's bring the party back. So we actually got a grant from the city and we hosted a seasonal event series. So we did a car show, a holiday market, a chalk festival, and then we just finished all the locals, and we just have a party every time. And there's like old timers that get there and they feel nostalgic about it. And there's a new generation making memories there for the first time. And yeah, it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, that's, looking again, and I would recommend anybody to go to the website here. I got it up. Let me pull it up real quick. The historicplaza.org is where you can go. And there's just a bunch of great pictures and information up there, looking through that and reading. So yeah, that was my sense that little spot over there, that would have been originally more of the downtown in the early days. Okay.
Yeah, so that started.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the Bagleys that moved there almost 100 years ago now, coming up in 2026. So they came and they opened up their market, and everything sort of sprang up around there. So Historic Plaza had the first library, the first telephone switchboard, the jail, the first post office, like everything was in that little plaza, and it sort of sprang up around Bagley's Market.
Right on, right on. Yeah, the pictures of the market look so cool. I see there was a sign also for like a movie theater. I guess it would have been a movie theater.
Yeah. So the space that's catty corner to the plaza, that used to be a movie theater. It's now an event space. Yeah.
Man, on a day like today, I think about what it would have been like living out here when there wasn't full-time air conditioning going on.
Right, gnarly, just sitting on ice cubes that were brought up from Riverside.
But yeah, it does still, even when you look aside, it being difficult in the summer temperatures back then out here, there's another element of it that just looks so cool. I mean, just,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, just the stores and just the look of everything is just, it's really, really neat. So yeah. And again, I mean, I'm sure, from a business standpoint, and I think you guys are doing, the right thing in like the events and whatnot that you're doing to bring attention to it. Because, for tourists coming through town that are going to the park or whatever, it is a tiny bit off the beaten track for them.
Yeah.
And I know, as a small business owner myself, that can always be a bit of a challenge. But it looks like you guys are doing a bunch of great events and things like that. So I applaud your marketing skills.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, we have a great team. I'm one of 4 directors, so shout out to the rest of our team because they kill it every time.
And Mojave Moon Apothecary, we did a podcast quite a while last year sometime.
Yeah.
With them. So everybody should check that out. Now, it also says you're chairman of the Public Arts Advisory Committee.
Yeah. So we call it the PAC for the city. So we just wrapped up our grant season. We were able to fund a lot of great events that are happening throughout this next year. We're working on sort of getting a design palette together and sort of organizing the sense of design within the city of 29 Palms. And hopefully we could partner with Action Council 29 to start repairing some murals out here, bring in some new artwork. So yeah, that's another great fun endeavor. Keeps me busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Tell us a little bit more about what that group does.
Yeah, so
and, like what are some of the impacts or things that we might see around that, are a result of that group?
Yeah, so the Public Arts Advisory Committee has been around for a while, and it was actually started by Chuck Kaplinger, who is a really prolific artist out here. And I mean, he has an amazing resume doing like concept work for NASA in the 60s, doing like studio work in Hollywood. Like he's so great. He's one of the people that helped start the Highway 62 tours. But yeah, he started the Public Arts Advisory Committee really just as a means of bringing art into the city, maintaining art in the city, and trying to best represent the art that we have here. So for instance, recently we just repaired our 29 exclamation point sign or sculpture out here in 29 Palms. And that was a big endeavor, and that was actually a piece that Chuck had commissioned and donated to the city as a gift. And it had gotten really worn out over time, and so we worked with Public Works with the city, and they helped get some repair work done and find a powder coater for us out in Yucca, and we got it back up to snuff and shining and glistening again. And that was a really big pull, and that was great, and the city loved it, and it was great after it went up to see all the Facebook posts about it, like, oh, they fixed our sign.
Nice. So the reason I reached out to you originally, before I knew you were involved in all these nonprofits and everything, and I'm glad you sent me the email with all the information, because obviously you're doing a lot in the community out here, which is really great. I don't know when I saw it. I think I was actually camping, and not really at my secret spot, but the spot that me and my girlfriend go to a lot when we just want to take the RV and we only have a night or two to get away and we can't really drive too far. We will often go to the crater, Amboy Crater. And a lot of people, I don't know, that spot kind of gets overlooked, and I'm glad it does, because we've never had an issue with there being too many people out there. But, we just park the RV in that outer parking lot area. It's just, I don't know. It's really kind of magical. And we've had just like some amazing nights. If you get a day or an evening where the temperatures are good, the wind is died down, it could be just amazing out there. But I think I was sitting on my lawn chair, drinking a beer, doing what you do when you camp. And I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see this post that says the Lamb Boy of Amboy. And I'm like, what the hell is this? With this goofy picture. But the thing that was so cool was there was a phone number on there and then voice recordings of people calling in saying, I think I saw the Lamb Boy. So how the hell did you come up with that? What's the idea? And, and then for a while, I'm like, what is this? Is this a band? Mojave Saints? Is this a band? And they're just trying to do like some cool promo? Like, what is this all about? So I finally am getting to the root. This has been like for a year. I was looking at this thing going, this is really cool. What the hell is it?
Yeah, so the Lamb Boy of Amboy, honestly, it really just sort of fell into my lap in a weird way. So my other business is a Red Raven Trading Company, and we would sell a lot of vintage through that business. And so we were always bouncing around the desert junking, and you find yourself yourself, taking a dirt road down a dirt road to a dirt road, and then all of a sudden there's like a train caboose next to a donkey stall, and like this guy's selling his whole life away, right? So yeah, this is a place out in Wonder Valley, and I don't remember their names, but it was like two old guys who were like doing a joint estate sale together, and they just mentioned the Lamb Boy of Amboy. Like, oh, have you heard of the Lamb Boy of Amboy? I was all like, no, what is that? He's like, oh, you never heard of, like, it's like the Yucca Man. It's one of our folklores out here. I was like, really? That's not real. They're like, no, it's real. Head of the lamb, body of a boy. I'm all like, all right, all right. But I mean, that Lamb Boy of Amboy, it just stuck with me. And so I created the graphic, and my partner and I created the hotline, and we just wanted to give it some life. And we printed out some flyers, and I took them and I posted them, around here in 29, out in Joshua Tree, out in Yucca Valley. And yeah, the phone calls came in, and
God,
it was amazing. It took on a life of its own, and it was just all like, oh, we got another phone call. We got another phone call.
it's so cool. Oh, it's such a great idea. I actually tried to steal your idea for like a marketing thing for my music school down in Costa Mesa. I was like, man, how can I take this concept, and apply it to something? I wasn't successful. I wasn't able to make it happen, but I still think it's such a great idea. I've told other people about it. And, so those are legitimate people calling in.
Yeah. They from like all over now. I mean, I have people calling in like, oh, we were just out in Joshua Tree, but I'm from Ohio. And, we saw Lamb Boy while we were out there.
So, so what's the evolution of this? What are you doing with it? Anything?
Right. So Mojave, I created Lamb Boy just really as a stunt, but it sort of fell in line with a few other things I was working on. So we had started writing this story called Tales of the Mojave, and it was really pulling from a lot of, I'm just a huge fan of lost histories and just primitive storytelling and the oration of primitive storytelling and how it was sort of used as a way to explain the world around them. And so we wrote this story, Tales of the Mojave, and it's pretty much a creation story from a lost tribe of the Mojave. And so it says, how the sun was a seed that grew and rose, and that's where the Amboy crater came from, is where that seed used to lie.
Okay.
Things like that. So, spinning sort of these faux histories, and then Lamb Boy just fell in so perfectly with that. So I've really just been working on the best way to put these stories together and build a world where they could live together.
Okay.
But I think Lamb Boy has always sort of just be a life of its own, and I kind of like him that way. I feel like he's sort of open to the public. Anyone should be able to pick up Lamb Boy the same way anyone picks up, Yucca Man and uses him in different contexts. Like, I really just want it to be this story that people forgot about and picking it up, and they're like, what is this weird photo, and what are these weird phone calls, and sort of just push it.
Yeah, and so you had mentioned Mojave Saints. Are you doing like a merch line or something like that as well?
Yeah. So we're going to be we have our Lamb Boy shirts. Right now we're just doing print on demand through our site, and then we're going to do a run locally of some screen printed stuff. But yeah, it ties in with, we'll have our Lamb Boy merch on there. We're going to be doing a small run of our Mojave Tales zine coming out soon. We also have our Vio Candios products on there, and that's a part of the greater story too. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a lot of it started as just a creative endeavor to keep me sane. Like, I'm doing all this other stuff, but like, let me just open Illustrator and Photoshop and create something, or let me just write something. And it was just a creative outlet that luckily took on a life of its own. And
yeah,
so many people around the city love it, and it's interesting.
That's great. I mean, sometimes you got to just do that. I guess there's a couple ways you can look about it. One is to be really focused on one mission in your life, whether it's, your company or your job that you work, or one idea that you have and you go all in with it. And, I think you could make a good argument that's, in some ways, that's the best way to be successful with something. But the other side is to try a lot of different things and to be involved in a lot of different things. I kind of go down that road as well, where, I play music. I've got my business down in Orange County, but I'm always kind of, doing these other types of projects, doing some, working on some merch designs and doing like, building stuff with concrete and epoxy and, and then sometimes I start doing it without really knowing, like, if I have a plan, or like, am I trying to turn this into an income stream in a business, or, am I just sort of like experimenting and like, just doing something creative just to try something,
Yeah, definitely. And it's awesome when you create something totally for yourself and accidentally that does turn into something that brings in a few bucks too.
Right.
Like, even, if that's the umbrella that you didn't create it under, just the fact that people be like, oh yeah, we'll pay a few bucks for this. It's fun. It's interesting. Great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And they encourage you to keep doing the weird stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's really true. You know what? I wanted to go back for a second up to the Historic Plaza. And again, just, because I want to shed some light, hopefully whatever I can do here with the podcast is shed some more light on that little area over there. Because like I said,
Thank
I've
you.
kind of really slept on that a little bit. Go again on that website and looking at the different businesses over there, just some really, really cool stuff. The event space, I got to look up the name here.
Oh yeah, Rostarita.
Rostarita, that event space.
Yeah.
I've driven by it, and this is an interesting thing that I think has a lot to do maybe with just like the landscape and the climate out here. It's easy to drive by something and look at it from the front, and it doesn't really look like that much to you,
Yeah. Oh,
and then when you go inside or you see the whole thing and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And that's a place I'm like looking at the pictures of that place, and it is an awesome event space. Like I had no idea it was that nice back there.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful in there. They did an amazing work filling out that space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have people come by all the time and they're just like, yeah, they're like, what goes on over there? Like, what is that Rostarita place? Is it open? Like, is it a taco
Yeah,
joint?
that's what it kind of looks like that when you're like, for me, yeah, certainly I've driven by there and said, well, I think it looks like an event space, but I don't know if it looks like they're active or doing anything right now. But I look at it, it's amazing in there.
Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of a theme for the Historic Plaza in a weird way. Even, Cactus Bar and restaurant down there, it looks like just a little dive bar, but like no one would expect that they're serving some of the best Mediterranean food, in the high desert.
Yeah. And, I'll be honest, it's a place I haven't been to. Again, looking at the website and looking at that, I'm like, I got to go eat over there. That looks really good. So that's on my list. That might be tonight's dinner choice.
I highly recommend it. They're killer over there. Killer.
Very cool. And you talked a little bit about events that you guys put on over at the Historic Plaza. Is there, it doesn't look like there's anything coming up on the website, maybe due to, it being summer, but do you guys have a rough plan of things coming up for this year or the end of the year?
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a few things. So actually, coming up in August, we're doing the whole city of 29 does Area 29.
Yeah.
This whole alien takeover of our city. We're going to be, Son of the Desert and Historic Plaza is hosting a glow-in-the-dark dance party that we're going to be doing there. We're going to be partnering with the city to do another car show as part of Pioneer Days this October. And then, we're going to be, the city got rid of their event grants that we funded all of our previous events with, and so we're finding ways to be a little bit trickier with it and cheaper with it and still bring these parties without with that loss of funding. So we're going to be doing a lot of small scale pop-ups for this next year, and then I think we're going to find some ways to save up for one big event, if I had to guess.
Right. Yeah, the Galactic weekend there, the UFO weekend, looks super, super cool. Unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town and miss it for the second year in a row.
No.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that you mentioned losing the funding, because I know some other businesses, that put on some pretty good size events that specifically had gotten grants from the city. What happened there? Is it just budget cuts or?
Yeah, it was budget cutting and just, realigning some stuff. They gave some of the money that they were giving out as the city, and they gave some to Parks and Rec, and then they also gave another portion of the budget to the Public Arts Advisory Committee. So they divvied it out, but essentially I think it's a lot of work to give out that many grants.
Yeah.
There's other entities that are better suited to taking up that time and putting in that legwork. And so I think it was just them doing that. But honestly, like I said, they're still very open to partnering with us and making us a part of Pioneer Days and letting us host the car show. There's still the T-Bid, which has their grant process. X grant process will open up again next year for the 2026-2027 season. So yeah, there's definitely still outlets out there. But it was sad to see that go. But luckily the city's still open to working with people.
Right on. Yeah, I think all those kind of events that I see happen out here, it's just so important in a smaller community to have that type of stuff, to not only just bring the community itself together, but those are great events for people to come in from out of town and things
definitely
like that. So I think even more important, it's more important, I think, in a smaller community than it is in a larger city or mid-sized town to have those kind of events, because there's just always so much going on. So, well, Paul, thank you so much, and thanks for everything you're doing on your nonprofit work there. And we'll be looking forward to seeing what the Lamb Boy is up to real soon. Thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks.